This show today is designed as talk amongst yourselves a little bit. This is one that I want you to DVR, and I want you to watch with the family and stop it and talk. Talk about something of real substance. Talk about who you are, where you came from, the history of the family. Share it with your children. Share it with your children. Josephine is here. And Josephine, I asked the audience here a minute ago, so what is anybody getting out of this so far?
She did the right thing, and by doing the right thing, God's blessed her, and now she's going to get all these customers prayerfully by doing this, and if you give, it's going to be given on to you. So would it matter if, I mean, because I could have easily just hung up the phone and then not said, hey, come on out. I mean, she didn't ask for anything, and I could have easily never mentioned again, just said, thank you so much for the jacket. Would it still? You could have done that, but God will bless her in another way. Because basically, if you give, he says that he will keep your storehouses full, God. Mm-hmm. It's in Malachi. He says, you know, if we keep giving, God will give back to us. So we just have to keep giving that. I didn't know Josephine. I didn't know she was a Bible freak. Donna, what did you get out of this?
She's setting as an example for her daughter. You know, even if you hadn't called her back and said, come on the show, her daughter's watching. This is, you know, that is an interesting phrase to you. Her daughter is watching.
This was the thing that really impressed me on 8/28 is our children are watching us. I know, and it really came home when I saw this jacket. I know that I learned you stand up for what you believe in. Even if the whole town makes fun of you, you keep standing if you believe it's the right thing. You keep going. And I learned it just by watching them. And what? I learned it from my dad, yeah. And
now we're creating leaders out of the kids.
Right. And I think that's what's happening in America. I don't know if you know this, but your children are watching you every step of the way. They're watching. When you say, this is crap, and this ought to stop, somebody ought to do something, and what is it? They're watching you. They're watching your example now of, do you just sit and take it, or do you get up and do something? Do you do something negative, or do you do something positive? I wanted to bring in Rabbi Daniel Lapin. He is a good friend of mine, president of American Alliance for Jews and Christians. And just, you're the guy, Rabbi, that I think of this Tower of Babel story. I've thought about it every day since we last met.
Yes.
I mean, it's really powerful. The glue that, what binds us is materialism. And it concerns me a great deal.
And what it does, of course, it also anesthetizes us and makes us more vulnerable to the centralized control of the tower.
It sounds so much better when he says it anesthetizes us. Yes, yes. So what have you gotten out of the story of the jacket and Amanda?
Profoundly moving, and you have a lot of friends in Seattle, regardless of.
I needed a SWAT team last time I was there.
I know. You got a lot of very, very devoted fans and friends in Seattle, and you know what sprung to mind with me is that, first of all, you're probably not the only person she's done this to. And so had you not responded the way you did, then as Josephine said, this is part of her life. She's done it for other people. She will, had there been no response from you, she still would have done it.
That she learned it from her mom.
And I think what jumped out for me is the marvelous story in Genesis where Joseph's brothers have decided to kill him. They throw him into a pit and he's going to die there. And then all of a sudden, Judah, you know, after whom the Jewish people are named, after Judah, actually has this incredible statement where he gets up and says to his brothers, he says, hey guys, what profit is there in killing our brother? I mean, if we could make a buck or two, well, then I'd understand. Obviously, we have to kill him. But I can't figure out a way of making any money by killing him. Let's sell him. And everyone says, yeah, let's do that. And so Joseph then, at the end of Genesis, Joseph puts them through this whole business. They come to buy grain, they don't recognize him, and he sends them back with the grain and puts their money in their bags. And he's trying to say to them, hey guys, we can get together again as brothers when you realize that this isn't about the money, you idiots, it's about the relationships. You were willing to kill the brotherhood and the relationship for the money. You said, why kill him? There's no money in it. If there was money, sure, we'd kill him.
Right.
I want you to understand it's not about the money. The relationships come first. And I think that's what I saw coming to life here. And you've brought hope, if I may say, to millions and millions of Americans who deep down know this idea that if you focus on the relationships, nurture the friendships, care for people, just give. Just give. Don't worry about what you get.
I want to go back there to if you give, you get more back. But that doesn't always. I know a lot of people who are very giving and are dirt poor and don't have a break. So it's not exactly that, I don't think. We'll get into that. And also just the idea of this Thanksgiving of breaking out, as we're preparing now for Christmas, breaking out of the cycle of stuff and trying to put the things in our own life that are truly important. It's really difficult, and I want to share my toughest Christmas with you, and something that I still struggle with. I just went Christmas shopping just last weekend with my daughter, and we talked about it, and I really struggle with it, and we'll talk about that next.
America is broke, and Glenn Beck is going to fix it. Glenn Beck rebuilds America's engine in theaters December 2nd with an encore December 8th. Tickets at fathomevents.com.
Glenn Beck's not going to fix it. I hope to inspire you to fix it. I have no idea what I'm doing with the economy, and I have no idea what I was doing with the 1965 Mustang. We're back with Rabbi Daniel Lapin. He is the president of American Alliance for Jews and Christians. And Rabbi, I want you to see if you can help me on something. And I don't know if I am alone in this, if anybody else feels this way. I have been rich, I have been poor, and then I was poor again, and then I was rich again. And by the way, rich is much better. But poor taught me more. But at Christmas time, because I grew up without, I'm kind of like my grandma was with food. And more the better. And more shows how much I love you. Yeah. And I have a really hard time not going overboard. I always feel like, oh, I've done too much, it's grotesque, or I didn't do much, I should have done more. If I would have, you know what I mean?
I do.
Does anybody else feel that way? Okay, so you guys feel that way too. Thank goodness, because I thought it was just me. How do you deal with that?
Well, I think that like everything else, you find a balance. To suggest that we're better off with no possessions at all is, in a certain sense, to rob us of our humanity, because one of the things that is different about the way God created human beings from the way he created all the other beings on the planet is that we are the only creatures who own things. And we're expected to own things. For instance, you can't give charity if you don't own anything in the first place.
Right.
And so owning is good, but being owned by your possessions is not good.
That's the love of money.
I suppose, yeah. Yes.
You know, I just gave him the greatest setup in the world. I said to a rabbi, help me with the balance on buying Christmas presents. He says, here's the balance. Become Jewish. There you go.
Well, you know, Christmas is, I mean, I don't celebrate Christmas. I'm Jewish, obviously, but I respect Christmas, I honor Christmas, and I love Christmas because it's a time of the year when everybody is out buying stuff. And that's okay for two reasons. Number one, that's making shopkeepers, manufacturers, artisans, that's making other people very happy. Number two, all the stuff, I mean, every survey shows that the overwhelming proportion of everything that's being purchased is for other people. It's gifts.
Yeah, I tell you, there is something special about this time of year. We change.
Yes.
And the secret is to become that person all the time and not People are inviting you to all kinds of Christmas parties and all kinds of crap and everything else. You got to go to some. That's fine. My wife and I say the same thing every year. Stop. Stop. Don't get so lost in the things that you have to do. Do the things that you should do. Back in a minute. It's Black Friday and people are out shopping, and you know I'm all for shopping, and especially on those local stores, go out and buy the stuff, buy something that's meaningful. We're talking about Thanksgiving and the holiday season and giving, and it came up in conversation that people that don't. The people that give, some big-hearted people give, but they don't ever gain stuff back. You know what I mean? But that's not really the promise, is it? I mean,
no.
You're going to get...
No, that's not the promise at all, not necessarily. There are a lot of things you have to do in order to reap the blessing. Giving is one of them, and showing love and compassion to people. The other part of it is building relationships with large numbers of people. In other words, God said, not good for man to be alone at the beginning of Genesis. Mm-hmm. That wasn't just a prescription for Adam's matrimonial prospects. That was a prescription for each and every one of us. Not good for us to be alone.
Can you, maybe we'll tease it for the next time you're on, because how much time do we have? We have about 2 minutes. Can you do what you learned on this program about amuse and entertainment?
Well, it was
90
something
seconds.
you said in the introduction to the show. I was listening to you, and you spoke about Gibbon's Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, and you spoke about how one of the signs of impending extinction of a culture is an obsession with entertainment.
Sure.
And what's so incredible about this is that, and I think you were spot on, because we have the word amuse, which is the same as entertain.
Right.
Amusement or entertainment, say interchangeable words. Right. But the word amuse is made up of the word muse and a in front of it. Well, amoral means somebody who's not moral.
Right.
Asymmetrical means something that isn't symmetrical.
Right.
Amuse means it's something that isn't muse. Well, what does muse mean?
Inspiration.
Right. Inspiration, thought, contemplation. And that's really what you're encouraging on the show, which I'm so excited about, which is to say to people, you've got an opportunity at your dinner table. Muse. Don't be amused. Amusing is a way of stopping yourself from thinking. It's a way of preventing and blocking out and paralyzing any potential for depth and growth.
Which, if you look at Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, that is exactly what they were trying to do. Stifle imagination and the muse. Back in just a second. There is a lot of work ahead of us in the coming months and years, but there is a lot of joy as well right in front of us. Find it this season. From New York, good night, America.